One of the biggest things that niggas like to complain about is when someone starts biting swag. People care a lot for some reason about who did it first, who started this trend, he was using this sound before anyone, etc, etc. Personally, this isn't really a big issue to me. I've said this before, not only do you kind of need to start off stealing someone else's style and sound so you can have something to build off of and learn what works and what doesn't work. Also, 90% of the niggas y'all like to dismiss as clones in the underground sound way better than the people who are mainstream. I remember back during the wait for Whole Lotta Red, there were so many Cardi clones popping up. There was a huge market for them because Cardi just wasn't dropping any music, so everyone decided to try out the baby voice and pick like a Pierre type beat and see how far they could go on SoundCloud. And now we have a bunch more clones of Opium artists and people like Yeet and Fago. So let's actually take a look at some of the clones in the underground. Now, this rapper Osama San is getting a lot of attention right now because not only did he drop a project where the cover art is exactly from a Cardi picture, the project also has songs that sound like this. If you had no idea who Osama San was and I just played this song, you would probably say this was Ken. Now, Osama San does have music that's less Ken inspired, and you know, I'm not really a big fan of that either. I don't even think Osama San is even necessarily worse than Ken or that his music is trash. In some aspects, he's actually way more listenable than Ken, but overall the problem is not that he's a clone or anything, it's that he's just not really adding anything new to the sound. He's just pretty generic.
Smoking in my tech, girl.
Dom Corleo is literally the punching bag of the entire underground / new gen community, from hiring girls to come sit with him at an interview to look cool, to creating fucking Chester Perry. This man cannot catch a break. Dom Corleo has two major criticisms. He's a boring and uninteresting guy, and yeah, he is, and that he's a clone, specifically of Summers and Destroy Lonely. Destroy Niggly. But I mean, he's even copied Chief Keef. He's the definition of fake it till you make it, and I guess in that regard, he's kind of respectable. Honestly, Dom Corleo doesn't make bad music. It's music for when you're like on a long drive, or really just background music, honestly. I think Dom Corleo should just stop trying to look fucking cool all the time. Like, just be yourself. Also, he did say he wanted to smash a 12-year-old, so there's that too.
Baby, you can say, if you comfortable like, you be tryna play, girl, what's up with you like?
Lunchbox is literally just Yeet with less creativity and hype. This new jazz shit is pretty lame, and honestly not really that different from anything that's ever happened in music ever. I feel like pushing this as like the new sound for the underground would actually cause us to regress in quality. Like, it's literally not, it's not more complex, it's not more interesting. Hopefully he branches out a lot more and earns the hype soon.
I don't know what to do with you. Can't let my walls down, you gon' make a fool of me.
I'm gonna be honest, Southside Silhouette is one of my favorite artists in the underground, but even he admits he sounds a lot like Lone. The production style and flow style is pretty Lone adjacent. However, I actually prefer Southside Silhouette's music 1,000 times more than Lone. I think he does a way better job with the style, and honestly, he's a lot more creative than Lone, who just kind of hops from aesthetic and sound and doesn't really do anything good or cool with it.
I put that feature, I got bad bros, cause that's all I see. I went too far, this shit out of reach. Put the flag together, let go be they all wanna copy, they all.
Vamp Leak is a very, let's just say, interesting person who also happens to sound like Cardi, like a lot like Cardi. Now, a lot of people say he was on the whole Vamp thing before Cardi was, but the fact of the matter is, this nigga sounds a lot like Cardi and acts and presents himself like the stereotypical image of Cardi that a lot of people have. Despite who he is as a person, he does make some pretty good music and has some pretty good presentation for his project. He's also in Ian Connor's new collective or group or whatever, rapper. I don't really think it's possible for him to go mainstream. I mean, one, you know, there's the elephant in the room. And honestly, the only things that are really appealing about him, which is like his sound and his aesthetic, you know, Opium really already has that covered in the mainstream. So Slim GGP is an artist who started off making music like this.
Riding around my side of town, that bitch tryna take me down. Fresh as hell, nigga wipe me down. Smoking on gas, it's out the pound. Fill on your block and I feel it around.
And then started making music like this.
This shit out of my lungs. Yeah, I'm pushing that phone up a lot of though. Yeah, you know that I'm gone. Yeah, I'm around here, that my shit up. Yeah, I'm not singing along. Yeah, this all over my body though. Yeah, I put that shit on.
If you look at the presentation and aesthetic of his projects, so even like the pictures like of himself, they are very Destroy Lonely inspired. I enjoy some of his songs, but honestly, everything else is just okay. His whiny ass voice is kind of hard to get into, honestly.